Hey guys, how you doing? Let's get started. We'll start with one 8 minute, not 8 minute, sorry. Hold on, let me get this put, there we go. We'll start with a 5 minute, just a casual, not 5 minutes, sorry, 10 minute. 10 minute. There we go, now I can see what you guys write. We're going to set up here for an attack. We're trying to see if we can't take scope on this. I want to see if I can't trying to think here. Do I want to play c5 or c4, sorry, or do I want to play anything to do with my queen, then castle queen side? I think I might just play queen d2, then castles queen side. And if he plays there, I just push up. I could also, after castles, play king to b1, prophylactic, just in case he plays g5. Okay, so he's castling. I'll castle as well. I'm gonna move my king over, and then I may actually play c4. Yeah, this is kind of what I thought might actually happen. So that when he takes here, I take back. And then I have the two bishops. I have a bishop and a knight. He has two knights. I was thinking about potentially playing knight takes there, but knight takes, and then the rook slides over. I don't have anything at that point. Then I just take the bishop. Excuse me. Let's see if I can't get my excuse me, my knight to g4 and then into e5. 1 second. Excuse me. For some reason I had like a fraud there. Let me get a drink of water. I'm just gonna play my pawn to g4. And potentially I'm gonna go maybe after c3. Interesting. So I'm just gonna do a prophylactic king to c3, b1. If he takes, I'll take back. I could actually take with the knight, so I might actually no. Well, do I actually want to take with the knight, or do I want to take with the bishop? See if I can't pry open the center here. Rook takes, pawn takes, knight takes. So maybe that was a slight inaccuracy. Maybe I should have taken. Maybe I should have pushed my pawn. Well, that would have been. That's weird. It's just like, very not fun. Remember, it's not about how much material you have. It's about checkmate. So we have to keep that in our forefront of our mind. And that's kind of why I played this move here. Was I really don't want to open up the position if I don't have to. I want to see if I can't break down, potentially bring my rook over, break this down here, and start hacking away at it. He might try something like that. Oh, interesting. Might even go a4 at this point. He really can't play there. Well, he could, but that would be a really bad move. Potentially, I'm thinking about bishop here, maybe. That covers there. And here. And here. So he's like in a pretty big quagmire of a problem. And remember, until it's over, it's never over. Let's get this ball rolling. I even have bishop here if I need be. His pieces are pretty trapped in there. He can't even play here, because if he did, I can actually play potentially up here. If he takes, I could take with the rook. And actually, if he plays here, I just take the bit with the bishop. And then he's in a big time. Yeah. Kind of thought he might play that. It's compounding right on through. Well, if I did if I go B6, he can actually retreat his knight out to C6. Yeah. Interesting here. I'm gonna go there so that I can come in here. Wait a second. Could I have actually checked here? No. I think this is a 1 position if I'm not mistaken. I think it's all over for him. He's got to sacrifice material back, which is actually the queen. Yeah, and then your queen at that point. I'm trying to see if I could have played anything differently. You gotta have courage sometimes. And if he pushes here, you can actually potentially just trade off queens here. Now if queen takes, and he comes up there. Yeah, you really can't move because of that pawn. Comes there. Check. Check, that's right. Check. And comes the pin. It takes. I'd probably play there. Takes. Yeah, I guess that does mate, doesn't it? If he takes, you can actually. Yeah, I guess that does mate, doesn't it? It's better, faster mate. Okay. We'll look at our puzzle, or not puzzles, our work now. Good job, guys. Okay. We have already we've already looked at if white takes here. We've already looked at what happens if white takes here. So now we're going to look at to see what happens if a6. Well, a6 is a interesting, it's a very important move. I think it is less dangerous for black in this. That's what he's saying. Because the old time main line would actually be if the queen was on, rather than this bishop move back here. I'll show you. A6 makes a lot more sense if this is the old main line. And then what you do is you play here, and then what he does is he'll play there, then you play there, and or you could take, and then he brings his bishop here. So that's kind of that main line. But a3 really doesn't have any ploy to it. For example, we have actually a threat of actually taking pretty soon. We also have the ability of knight e7 to e5. White, of course, you know what his idea is. Duh, b4. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, really? You think b4 might be his idea? They'll think he's telegraphing his move. But black's queen sometimes gets after bishop to d7. It is more flexible line because you always have the ability of taking. That's what the author says. And you can as well, if after f6 maybe later on in the game, and then you take, and then he comes back, and the pawn is isolated basically at this time for right now. The e5 pawn is just right there. You could play, instead of queen to b6, you could play queen c6 or c7 to attack the weak c5 pawn. That's an idea. And at the end of all this, black, of course, is not going to castle kingside. More likely, he might sometimes castle queenside if black can lock down the queen side, like with c4 and b5, a5, and a4. If black can get a structure like this, he may actually want to castle queenside and then start flinging his pawns up the board. He might want to castle queenside and then just fling the pawns up the board on the king side, because white more than likely won't play castle queenside, because he's going to want to keep his pawns flexible going down the board, especially when his idea is b4. I don't think it would be wise for white to castle queenside. So we 95 to 98% chance of him castling kingside. You always get those radical players that, you know what, throw kind of like inside of your machine, they throw like a piece of wood or metal and it clogs up the system. You always have those crazy players that don't really care about principle and want to go for the KO. They go berserk in a bad way, not in a good way. So f6 is an interesting move because it's with our idea of later on going queen to c7 instead of queen to b6, which makes a3 look very odd. Let's just say that's the least. So if bishop, they're saying if bishop d3, c takes d, c takes d, and what am I missing here? Wait, what did I miss something here? Where did I miss? Oh, ay. Hold on, let me delete this. There's a move sequence. Okay. If he plays f6, of course, white has a in-between move of knight. Is it knight? It's not a5, is it? Let me see. Hold on. I had it wrote down in my notes properly. Try to prove that a3 is too slow and has been scoring well in master. So, Oh, gotcha. If you don't want to go f6, you can always go knight ge7. That's what he's talking about. Then bishop d3. I knew we would find it. Takes. and knight to. Where's f5? I have no idea. What does f5 have to? Where's f5? Oh, for black. Silly me. Bishop takes. Pawn takes f5. I forgot it was black's side. Bishop e6, which kind of is very silly looking. It has, Jeremy Silman says, tall pawn. Bishop to e7. h4. Hairy for white. It's going up the board. h6 for black to hold. King f1. Rook c8. And queen d3 to keep an eye on this pawn. Queen d7. Bishop f4. They're trying to develop around this a6. Where did I? Uh-oh. Oh, snap. It's h6. Sorry about that, guys. My bad. h7, h4. Not a4. It's h4. Sorry, guys. It's hairy. F1. Now we're right on track. Rook c8. Queen d3. Now everything's starting to make more sense. Bishop f4. And if you notice that the whole idea is white's trying his heart out to hold his center, and at the right moment black wants to start chipping away at the center. So h bishop f a6 exclam knight d2 knight a7 with maybe the ability of rerouting. Rook h3 Queen c6. Now what black is kind of telling, I want to go after your knight. Rook c1. So everything's on defense for white. And knight b5. And this is like, wow. Knight bd2. Knight. Oh, d to b1. Sorry, knight d to b1. Uh-oh. Not C. And this actually ended in a draw for black and white. So let's see. There's also another, I believe, another line. Let me see. Oh yeah, line 2 is if you don't want to play D, there's always the straightforward B4. This is considered the most important try for actually black. I mean for white. Sorry. B takes C. C takes D, of course, and knight to F5 with a double attack and potentially triple. A type of position that players on both sides of the advanced variation should study. It is very simple, similar to the one with queen to b6. Remember when I showed you the old main line, queen to b6, and then all this happens? This is a one move shy of for black to actually have the queen on b6. Hey, how you doing? So then that's an interesting idea, and so we will move onward and upward to our next idea here, which is if bishop d3. The most challenging move, trying to expose black's weakness. Nevertheless, there are a few reasons for this. You can actually play instead of this move, because remember, your whole goal was wham, that right there. Set that up, deliver, and get going on it. Don't wait, because if you do, you're gonna get in deep trouble. And black brings the hurt. b5. Knight takes d4. Pawn takes d4. And let me see here. E takes d4. This is a interesting game setup here, because let me see, where does it end? Bishop f4. Knight f6. And for the piece, black sacrificed the piece, but look at the pawn mass that he has. This is going to be, if white doesn't watch it, he's going to be snow plowed over with pawns. And it's not going to be a fun day. And I always like this, the North Pole, right? It's not going to be fun, let's just say. Okay, knight bd2. Queen b6. Remember, we're wanting to get our pawns rolling, so we need to keep protection of d4. We can get c4, potentially c5, 3, and maybe get our guys rolling. Maybe even win another pawn. You know what? Wouldn't that be a nice idea? Knight e5. Queen a5. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. A pin. A pin that wins. g4. That's like a crazy move. Knight to e4 here. And this is like, whoa, hello. And that's a very dubious move. I'm like, what in the world? When I saw that move, I was like, hello, you know, what's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. You're gonna abandon one area when you know, this is actually, I like what Ginger GM says, our Grandmaster Simon Williams. It's a lemon move. A lemon. Which means, you know, when you bite into like a lemon, you make that like face like, oh, that's bitter. This is a bitter move. Very bitter. g5, and it's like, whoa, wow. Bishop g3. Bang, knight takes. Queen takes, and then of course king has to take. And then bishop takes pawn, and we black has acquired a powerful 3-pass pawns, and he's just gonna trample white with the pawn majority. And it's just gonna go whoop, and it's gonna be a sad state. Very, very sad. There's also knight takes, knight takes, bishop d2 or d3, c4, bishop c2, bishop d6, because now look what all of our pieces are starting to flow. Black's going to castle, and he's going to be in really good shape here because he has this open F file. D6 castles, of course, like what we talked about, castles. Queen e2, queen c7, kapow. Rook e1. Queen b6, which is actually a very interesting moves sequence, because this in theory locks down the bishop to the protection of b2, so it's pretty interesting. I kind of like that idea. Knight bd2, rook a to e8. Now we're trying to get a breakthrough happening. Let's see. 95. Mistake. Wrong move. Bad move. Not the best move. Should have played a different move. This doesn't really do anything. It just hurts black. It hurts white, not black. And then G4, and of course, you guys see if queen takes, wham, queen takes, wham, boom. So the queen can't take that. And too many threats. This is happening, that's happening, that's happening, it's like, whoa, hello, everything's starting to fall apart, and it ain't looking good for white in that sitch. There's one more line that we're gonna go over. This is actually very dubious. I've had this played on me before. I'm like, it's really dubious. Because now you can actually play queen b6 and eyeball b2, the b2 pawn. So b4, c takes, d4, c takes d4, or d takes c4. I think it's c takes, c takes. And then g5. There was a game that I was studying, it was a Niall Short game, very similar to this type of a setup. Sometimes you can actually get if you castle queenside, you can actually reroute your light square bishop here. If you're wanting a really good teacher, it's Grandmaster Simon Williams has I know I said it last night, but he has the Killer French 1 and 2. It goes into a lot of depth on all this setup, and then you can learn it and play and have a good time. That's the whole point. And g5 gets an exclam mark. I think so too. This is Black's gonna basically castle queenside. He doesn't even have to castle in theory. He can just wait. So bishop e3, g4, knight d, f, so, and then f takes e, knight b6, or b3. Of course the idea is he's trying to stick a knight in there, or he's trying to get his other knight out. A little too late. E takes. He's also trying to guard this, so wow. Knight takes d. Bishop to h6. Exclam. Queen takes. Castle queenside. Remember we talked about queenside castling? Knight c7 or c2. Bishop takes, and more likely f's going to take, yeah. And then e5. And black stands actually better here. So I think black's in a good shape. Oops, I apologize guys, there is one more line. Thought there was only one line. There's one more. You gotta go over these, because if you don't, you're gonna get ensnared, and you don't want to get ensnared and the ideas they want. It puts a tempo up in the old main line, so bishop d. Yep, and this is the line that they're talking about, where this actually favors black here. It's an older French line when he plays bishop to e2. This is kind of how it sets up, and then black tries to eyeball the e5 pawn the entire game. So there, and then we take. At this point, white has a couple ideas here. Actually, let me see here. Black, instead of taking here, could actually, in theory, play takes, and then knight to h6, exclam. With putting the idea is it attacks. They're going to be attacking e5, and then if this takes, of course, we can take back with our pawn, and then b2 becomes super duper weak. So castle kingside for white, knight f7, and this is actually from a game, so f takes e, knight takes e5. Wait a second. Hold on. What did I miss here? Oh. Hold on. Let me see. What did I? Oops. Hold on. Gotta make sure I underlined in my book the right move. So f. So we have f7. Knight takes. Gotcha. It's not f takes. So. I'm missing something here, guys. Just 1 second. I need just a sec. My notes are mixed up again. Drat. Oh, I know what my problem is. It's rook to e1. There we go. Now we're back on track. F takes g. Gotcha. Uh-oh. What did I... There we go. Now we're going down the right path. Guys, we got it. We got it. Just patience, focus, determination. Now we got her. Now we got her. And then B6. Exclam. Alright, rook B, and then bishop B5. Yeah, because now you're eyeballing that. It takes. And black has an easy game, and now that the light square bishop will get traded off the board, it's really nice. It's a nice game for black. So let me see here. If Queen C7, which is a possible idea, castles. Queenside castle. And now you have to look into, at this point, white has three structural ideas that could be played here. White could play rook e1. Number 2 is bishop to f4. And let me see, where's number 3 is queen e2. Those are the three ideas. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over rook to e1 first. So c4 to attack the bishop. Of course, we know that that's an important idea. f1 is actually a very dubious move. It's like, why did you move there? You should have stayed on this diagonal here. Potentially that would have been a better idea. Retreating that way, not back to f1. Knight g to e1, e2, or e7. Bishop d, or knight bd2, sorry. bd2, so f takes at this point, and knight g5. E takes d. Exclam. So we're just gobbling the material up, and then you're allotting a fork. C takes d. It's like, what in the world? Yeah. Then he's like, are you crazy? Yes, in a good way though. Knight takes h. Knight takes h, and this is actually a really good game. It's slightly better for black here, slightly, because of how wrecked white's structure is. He has enough material. He's got two pieces for a he's got a piece and two pawns for the rook, so it's enough material to handle. So now let's look at c4 again. c2, like what we were talking about. h6 exclam. Because remember, white castle kingside, why not get the pawns a rolling down the board? Harry, as Simon Williams would say. h4. Bishop to g8. Remember what we talked about? The whoop, boom, right in there. There we go. And that gets a exclam. B 3, and like, whoa, that's actually a dubious move. I think it's almost a mistake. That's just my opinion. C takes B, bishop takes, and now we acquired our goal of this. We have a pin on the queen now with our knight. So this, the king side's going to start to collapse under its own weight. And it's going to implode. It's not going to be a beautiful sight, let's just say. D takes E. And bishop to C5. Now we're slicing and we're dicing the position. Okay. Let's check our third line out. H6, of course. B4, he's trying his maneuver. C2. What? Oh, sorry, C4, C2. F5. Knight to H4. And E8. Remember with the idea of potentially playing there. Also, this stops the knight infiltration in, and we'll have G4 and potentially, or maybe H5 and G, something like that. F4 to lock down the position, and bishop E7 to attack and try to trade the knight off. Knight takes, which is actually a blunder here, or dubious move. Because at this point we can actually play E takes, bishop takes, F takes check, king B1 or B8, queen to G4 and G5. Exclam, woohoo! We're starting to break the king side down. F takes, H takes, and G takes, then H5. Now we have a lot of an attack happening. The queen's under attack. It's like, whoa. Queen G3. Bishop takes. Of course, queen's going to take, and knight G E2 7. And knight D2, because they're trying to get this passer going. D rook to G1. Now it's almost lost. I would almost say it's totally lost for white here. It's close to lost. But you know what? This is a really strong grandmaster, so they're not going to go down without a fight. We're attacking it. Trying to of course, if queen takes, pow. The king was over there. We pick up a rook, so the queen can't take. This is protected, so H3 to stop the queen. Bishop D3, and it's like, whoa. This is pretty intense that the bishop was able to come in here. King H2, knight to E7. Now we have some points of entry with knight to F5. Knight F3, knight F5, bishop F4, not bishop, queen F4, A8, because he wants to get his pawn a-rolling. Rook to G1. Another dubious move. It's like, you're jesting, right? Queen to H5. Everything is holding for black. And that gets an exclam because if you notice, the idea is potentially to play rook takes, and if king takes, queen takes, and then all of our pieces are nicely aligned for a huge attack to come down. So e6, bishop to e3 or e4, rook f1, oh, I'm sorry, not rook f8, rook f1. That's funny. And rook to g3. Rook takes f5. That was actually a mistake slash inaccurate move. Because queen can actually take here. I'd give this almost a double, but it was only a 1 exclam. Because of course, if you take here, you get mate. So there's no way to stop. Well, I guess there is a way to stop mate. Alrighty. D takes e5 is what was actually played by white. You could, I know what you're thinking, you could play, why not play knight takes, right? D takes C, or C, hold on. Oh, my bad. Takes, D takes C, there we go. G6, C4, Queen's at C7, castles, Queen G6. Oh, it's not there. Get out of there. That's not what we want. C takes D. Bishop takes E. Now we're slicing and dicing. Boom. Check. And bishop B5. Castle queenside to protect the bishop, which this pawn does. I know what you're probably thinking, why not just grab this? Because you gotta actually take here, and the check doesn't work because the queen can block. So he can't move off there. So now that the knight's here, he could. A6, which attacks the bishop. Bishop takes. Rook takes, and this actually agreed to a draw here. So there was a draw agreed at this point. So that was that line. So Queen C7 is a line that could be played. Or you could play, this actually has been played before. Let me see here. Hold on, let me make sure I have this right. Do I have this right? Oh, C4, my bad, sorry. C4, bishop there. C5. And then that's a line. Which would end up with, he needs to castle here, doesn't he? So he's got to, he potentially could castle. And then, what am I missing here? Hold on, guys. Okay, long day. So c4, bishop c, c5. There's also, instead of if knight to h, sorry, instead of this, if knight h6, oops, castles, knight f7, rook e1, g5, h3, g7. Now we're totally going for the pawn. Knight bd2, and this is actually a mistake slash inaccurate move, because queen, oops, sorry about that, guys, queen to e7 and c4, castle queenside, rook b1, with the idea of playing of course b4 to try to crunch open the king side, queen side, h5, but I believe black has too much speed, and he's gonna basically demo white's position into ruins. f7. There's queen to e2. Or if you're wanting a little bit more, he could castle queenside, and rook to e1 to keep an eye on this knight h, and then to f7, like our idea. So at this point, bishop takes, g takes, and then c4, d4, pass pawn, protected pass pawn now, guys. Knight bd7, and you can actually go bishop g7 here to go after the weakness of this pawn 3 times. So queen c e2 defending 3 times, bishop e, and then now our idea is to again go to h5 and pin the knight to the queen. There's one more line that could be played too. If f4 to hold, castle queenside, rook h. Hold on, did I? Huh. Oh, gotcha. Knight bd2, h, queen e2 to guard the pawn, knight h7, and then castle queenside, which is really a dubious move. It's not the best move in this sitch, because c4, b5. And if black can lock down, like what we talked about, this is an interesting move. Black can lock down the queen side. He's got king side expansion, and black's the one with the most attack here. a5. Let me see. h to e1, a5. Rook g, knight g5, knight takes g5, bishop takes g5, and rook to e8. Attending b4, and basically attacking, trying to attack in some really strong style. That's the idea there. And now there's instead of this move here, again there's bishop to f4. If you notice, white's whole drawback is e5. That's the whole play about the problem with allowing instead of f4 at the beginning. There's a line that potentially we're probably going to be going over pretty soon, and the advanced variation f4, and that solves all of white's problems when he gets these type of pawns in. It solves all of white's sitches with this pawn. But otherwise, if he doesn't, he has this weak e5 pawn, and black's just going to he's going to hone his sniper scopes on it and just start pecking off, pew, 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 pew. And eventually the entire army is going to be picked off by the snipers. So knight f7, h4, Harry. He's our hero. If Harry can't do it, nobody can, right, on the chessboard. Knight bd7, bd2. Bishop to e7 to take scope on Harry. And we can't have that, can we, guys? So b4 is played. Now we're trying to break this down, and then we just shut it down by saying, nope, 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 not gonna do it, ain't gonna do it. We're gonna lock down the queen side. You ain't getting in. We're gonna be the one to attack you. Don't you think about even doing that. Not a very wise decision. The rooks are just like flowing over. Now we have a discovery with this bishop. I mean, on this bishop. So g3, g6, of course, to stop this onslaught. Castles kingside. H to g8. Now this is like huge. This is a scary position for white. I would not want to play white in this position. He's going to get trounced. b5, knight a5, a4, and now h6. Exclam. The knight guards this pawn, and the next move is going to be g5. It is not looking good for white here. White's in a problem. Deep, deep, deep problem. c4. It could be played. It's less harmful because d takes c, bishop takes, f5, bishop f4 to guard this, and potentially that's an interesting idea. Knight c to c d4, knight takes, and queen to d1. g6. This is an interesting move because it's a preparing move, so that if white castles, we have Harry h5, and white does castle. So g6, g7 also. Sorry, it also has guns for this pawn. This is an attack on the pawn. Rook e1 to guard. Bishop to g3. Not bishop g3. Castle, sorry. Yeah, now bishop g3 and bishop to c6. And with a wonderful piece on a to d8, and it's going to be like, ouch, not fun at all. So let me see here. What did we do here? Hold on. I gotta make sure that we continue on, because there's more notes that I had. There's one more I believe that could be played here. Castles. This is if knight d7, rook e1, c4, bishop c2, bishop to e7, h4, Harry, castle queenside, bishop to f4, which protects this. So remember though, the Achilles heel of white is e5, so you gotta just keep pouring the pressure on. D to g8. Now we're trying to pour the pressure there. The interesting move setup. I actually like this position here for black. I prefer black here. Knight bd7 or bd2. Queen d, and now we're eyeballing. Oops, we're eyeballing this pawn. G3, G5, H takes G, and then knight takes G. And it's slightly better again for black. So the whole gist of it is that we've studied and looked at the majority of the lines are all based on e5. So that's what black's whole scope is. And sometimes he can castle kingside, but the majority of the time he's going to castle queenside. And when he does that, then he's going to try to launch a huge attack. And white's going to castle kingside, black's going to castle queenside, and then it's going to be basically World War III almost on the chessboard, with the pawns coming down the boards, the pieces being mobilized, and all the missiles are going to be launching from both sides. Pew, 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 and it's going to be mortar rounds everywhere. So it's going to be who can outlast all the gunfire that is being thrown at him. Okay, with that, I'm going to put on the puzzle, and then I'll be right back. let's do a game real quick. Let's do it to it. Alright, we get to try out our French defense. Let's see how we do. He might push. I did the exchange. We didn't get to try out our French defense. Advanced variation. My idea is to retreat my bishop back and take scope on the queen. I have to get my pawns a-flanging down the border now. That's my goal. How are we doing? If he plays here, I just move back. Then I clog up the position, and we're good to go. And also I'm attacking here, so it would be a big time mistake for him to do that. So he's thinking, what do I do? What do I do? They're thinking that, I mean. He might try bringing a rook over or one of these rooks. Then in that case, I check here and I pick up a pawn. So we're gonna win either way. We gotta pick up another pawn. Ooh, interesting. He's still a pawn down. He's like, I thought I had mate. That's probably what went through his mind. I thought I had mate. You thought wrong. You didn't have mate. Mate. That is true. That is true. Okay, we have to do this, guys. We have to think strong after what could happen if he plays here. I may have to play queen to I may play, if he plays here, now that I think about it, I'll probably play knight there to reinforce the knight and attack the rook. Then I can always choke off his rook 2 here. Right there, if he pushes, I can always play rook here to guard that. So everything's operation happy for me. It's operation unhappy for our opponent. Thinking about playing check here. If queen takes, king takes, then king up. Okay. Oh, that was a bad move, but kind of forced. I lose my queen. Snap. Oh wow, you mean that's mate? How is that mate? Okay. We'll do one more. Wow, that was a close one. Nope. It was black resigned. Not black. I mean, we won. We won. should be a mate here for, we should be winning. I think it's game over for black. We win. Okay. He wants to stick it out. It's honorable. I see that he's got, I have two pieces that are under attack. Even if he plays takes here, I bring my king over. Well, if I did, he'd actually come with check. Not sure if I have a draw here or not. I'm gonna go for it. I'll show you why the d6 move he could actually get out of the fork. Yeah, it's game over for him now. He's gonna lose his rook. Yeah, it's over. We'll go back to that 1 point. Right, I know exactly what you were talking about. Right. Where is that fork that we were talking about? That is true, economy. So you're talking right here? Basically perpetual. You get perpetual after that move. But that is that is an interesting line for sure. It did. So what would it have done after this move here? Well, it would have tried to get. It would have tried to get some perpetual. Huh. Excuse me. And now this is the move that ends it right here. I'll show you the idea. Just grab it. Yeah, he botched for sure. Okay, we'll do, let's see. Time is it? Perfect. We'll do 1 or 2 puzzles and then I got a log. We'll see how long they take. Yeah. That was an interesting game for sure. I don't know if it was an over the board if I would actually go for it. I might, if it was, I might have just settled for a draw on that because there's just too much that could go wrong. Oh, this is where you come in, economy. If it's an ally chess puzzle, you remember what we do? We take the material. Remember that? Take the material. Remember that? That's the funny joke. There's 2 ways of taking though. Which one is best? Is bishop takes, or is knight takes? Actually, sorry, is bishop takes, or is pawn takes? Which one is best? Choose wisely. Oh, there is that move too. Play the grub. So there is 3 moves. There's H takes G4 or bishop takes E7 or a knight D5. It's either one of those moves. There's 3 of them. Oops, that's an or, so I'll have to fix that. Hold on, guys. There we go. Now that's better. Not a T, it's a or. That is true. This move does fork 2 pieces. I like that move. Kapow. Nice work. Nice job. Nice work. Nice job. I'm thinking it has something to do with queen takes e4, but that's just me. I'm thinking economy might be right because he does have a check here. You're gonna have to be on guard because if we go here, he has a check here to get out of out, and then he's out and free. So I think you guys are right. I think it has to be that move, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because then if he pushes here, we just go up to g6. So when we go queen g6, if f6, then queen g7, and we pick up the queen. Not f5. Sorry, wrong. My bad. It's g5. There we go. That's what I mean. And oops, again, darn it. Copy. I forgot to change that one. This to 6. There we go. Now we got it. Now we have it. That's right. I think I could do, let me see, could I do one more? Yep, we'll do one more, guys. One more. You guys are doing great. This is a puzzling one for sure. I want to make queen to h6 work, but I don't think it does because of rook to g8. Then he covers it. I was also looking at, I don't think this works, but something like rook to b7 and then queen h6. Or maybe queen h6, rook over here, and then maybe knight to rook to b7. I was thinking something like a follow-up like that, but I don't think that works. Yeah, I was looking at b7 2 economy, but my only concern is that he potentially could play knight to a5, and then he's kind of okay. But I guess we could play there at that point, and then he'd have to retreat. He'd have to retreat his queen back. And maybe rook takes pawn. Maybe. Interesting. So maybe rook d8 does work. b7. Rook b7, and then if knight a6, rook e7, queen, only move is d. Well, it's either, she could either go c8 or queen takes a2, but then we can play rook takes f7. Oh, that works too. Yeah, that would work too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna change copy. I think I'm gonna change around this right here and do G6 like what economy said. I like that move. The line would look like this. Either here or there. And then we play G6, and there's no real good way for if he takes this way, then we can actually we can come over and checkmate with the queen. What do you guys think? I like rook b7. That's just me, but let's see. What do you guys think? What do you think about rook b7? I'm thinking that potentially is the, well, what if he doesn't move his knight though? That's what we have to look at. What if he doesn't move his knight? Well, I guess we could at that point play rook here, but kind of awkward a little bit. Maybe we're missing a subtle thing. Yeah. But I still think if he did that, if we did play here and then he did play there, we still have the rook move and to e7, which would kick the queen out, either here or there, and then we have like what economy says, G6. So, okay. I think it has to be rook takes at that point. That threatens mate. So there's really no way to stop the check. He's going to have to. So if when rook takes f7, queen takes f7, and then queen takes f7. This was the line. Okay, we'll call it. You guys have any other ideas on this before I log off? Do you have any other move orders? Okay. What about you, economy? Do you have anything you would like to go over on this board? Do you have any other moves? Okay. I gotta give economy. He might want to check something else out on the board. Do you have any other move you want to go over? I'll give you. There might be some lag on this site, so I'll give you guys just a minute to see if economy has any moves he would like to go over. Okay. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay. I'll take that as a no. Gotcha. Okay, guys. Remember this. You're not always going to have days like this. You treasure these days of victory. So, you know what? There's lots of days when it's a stone, when you're coal under pressure. But trust me, you get these diamond days, and when you get those diamond days, remember when you're going through that rough road. You know what I mean? And when I like what one minister said. He said that there's dips and there's valleys and hills. When you get on that hill, enjoy the hill, because there's a valley you have to go back down in. But enjoy those hills, because you know what? You get to take a break every once in a while. And our break is what we have right here. We got a really good day, 100%. So you know what? We gotta thank the Lord for that and keep moving forward. Remember that plateaus do arise. We've moved from another plateau to our next plateau, which means we don't stop walking. We're going to that next stairs, so that we can climb up to the next one. You never stop progressing. Just keep pushing forward. It's like, but wait, didn't we do this? Yeah. But remember, shoot for even greater things. That's the whole thing. That's what our mind does. Should shoot for better and better things. Remember, the only person that stops us is ourselves. We have a plateau. We must go beyond it. You know what I mean? You have to, like Yazzer, Jennifer, and Maurice said, you have to love the plateau. But remember, don't stay in the plateau. Knowing is important as well, but you need to apply it to your field. Willing is a good thing to start at, but unless you sit down and do it, or sit down and how we go through our tactics like we just did and you guys did great, you'll never be great unless you sit down and do your work. Well, guys, congratulations on 100% day. You guys did great. Okay? But remember, there are those valleys, so don't feel bad if we have a couple rough days, okay? That's just how maturity is. And as well, I don't know what's going on with this storm over on the east coast of the United States, but if you guys could keep the families in your thoughts and prayers in those states that got hit by the storm. So just help. You know what? It's easy for us to talk about it, but you know what? They're living it, so we need to, you know, think of them, pray for them, and you know what? I pray nothing happened to anybody over there. You know what I mean? So just keep that in your thoughts and prayers. Okay, guys. Remember, we always end with this. We hang up your coat, you hang up your hat, you sit down at that table and do that chess puzzles that most people won't do. We will do them, and that will make all the difference. Okay, guys. As Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless, and I'll see you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and take care, guys. Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll go over more French, more games, more of your games, more puzzles, and keep pushing forward for the Lord. Okay, great job, guys. Congratulations. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Bye-bye, guys. Be blessed. I'll see you tomorrow.